Man, some news today. Kevin Durant wants out of Brooklyn, and the Phoenix Suns are on his the top of his list. After Kyrie signed, I thought he would stay. To be honest, I thought he was. I thought that meant that him and KD were going to stay in Brooklyn and run it back.
I thought it was
and to hear that he requested a trade, and on top of that, that Phoenix is on the top of his list.
Phoenix.
That's what we've been talking about. Yeah,
that's incredible.
When you guys were texting me earlier and you're like, I wonder what we're going to be talking about tonight. I shit you not. I had not seen anything.
Oh, you didn't see it? So you said D-Hop just for the hell of it?
Well, just for the hell of it, just to throw it out there. But maybe his what do you call, his ban was, overturned. But holy shit, man! At this point, for him to say that he wants the Suns as a first option, you gotta make it happen, right? In the previous years, in probably the past 20 years, every time a general superstar requests for a trade and they put a certain team at the end like bait, it happens. So if the Suns can't pull this off and figure out a way to really triangulate pieces to certain areas and figure out contracts and whatnot to get him here, it's going to be an absolute failure, especially now with the statements that have been made. So I'm excited to see what's going to be going on the next few days, especially with the DeAndre Ayton saga, kind of seeing if he might sign a contract somewhere else and then have the 48-hour window for the Suns to match. I mean, what kind of pieces the Suns are going to have to give up. We're probably going to have to lose some key young guys that we don't want to. But when you're trading for a player like Kevin Durant, those are the sacrifices that you have to make and have to be willing to make. So
yeah. So before we dive, sorry, Chris, before we dive into that,
you might be soon.
So when was the last time the Suns made a splash like that?
Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was good, but let's talk before that happened. Have they ever done something like that? Would you say when they got Charles Barkley?
Steve Nash?
Well, I would say that it probably was Charles Barkley, because when the Suns signed Steve Nash, it wasn't really a consensus that he was an MVP level player, right?
Because he won 2 with the Suns. Yeah, he won 2 MVPs with the Suns. Yeah.
He had done really good with the Mavericks and Dirk Nowitzki, had been an all-star, but that was the reason why Dallas wasn't willing to re-sign him for the long term that the Suns eventually did, because they thought that he was limited and he wasn't going to be able to take them to that next level. So I would probably say, the last big splash that could be on the same level comparative to Kevin Durant is probably Charles Barkley, which is 30 years ago now,
It was a long time ago.
I mean,
it's older than me, or almost as old as me. Shit.
But you gotta, just because Charles Barkley never won a championship either. Chris Paul hasn't won a championship, so you can't. The Chris Paul signing is huge. He is in Hall of Fame, first ballot Hall of Famer. Chris Paul, so I agree. Charles Barkley was one of them, but Chris Paul was the last one, honestly. Even though he's a little later in his career, he got us to the finals, and then he got us to the second round of the playoffs. I know he fizzled out and shit the bed, but you got to give credit where credit's due. 7 games, and in a series that shouldn't have even gone 7 games.
Yeah, but the Chris Paul signing was surprising, right? We were all surprised that happened, but this is more of a slam dunk crazy. If they can actually pull it off, they're gonna have to sell a lot of stuff to pull it off. But don't you think that we should go all in and not miss this opportunity?
Yeah, no, we absolutely should. And I want to share some of the stuff I've been hearing out there first. Shout out Chevin Noon, the Valley Boys.
What's
in the
up,
comments.
Chev? What's going on, man?
We got some love in the chat. Love to see it. Thank you for being with us. Some of the stuff, I don't know, Cody, if you were listening to the radio or anything, I was on the drive home, and I think it was Gambo was talking about some of the stuff that's come out so far, where the Suns said that for DeAndre Ayton, they're going to match any offer. So it kind of like Mike was saying, if we come out in the next couple of days and someone gives them an offer, it sounds like the Suns are willing to match it. But is that to use Ayton as a trading piece? But also on top of that, as another part of that, it sounds like from what they were saying on 98.7, the Nets are not interested in DeAndre Ayton. So it almost seems like we're going to have to get rid of, if they're going to want Mikal Bridges for Kevin Durant. Mike, are you willing to give up Mikal Bridges for Kevin Durant? Because I know you've been really against that before it got real today.
Yeah, I mean, Mikal Bridges was the one piece that I would be holding on for dear life and trying to work at other people, throw a campaign in there, throw a Jay Crowder, even before today, throw a JaVale McGee, throw anything but Mikal. The two guys that I really saw as really indisposable for this team to get to that next hump were Devin Booker and Mikal Bridges, just because what each can bring you on both sides. And Mikal Bridges has a chance to become a two-way star in this league. He still has some things to tweak on his offensive game, but I mean, he's second in all of the defensive player of the year rankings for a reason. And he's a young core guy who wins at every level that you want to build around. So, but when you start talking about other first ballot Hall of Famers, transcendent type of players like a Kevin Durant, you really can't pull anything off of the table except for the one piece of why you're trying to bring Kevin Durant here, which is Devin Booker, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at this point, you kind of just have to bite the bullet and say, yeah, whatever we can do, and then try and build around free agency to bring in other pieces that can, really complement these two guys. Well, I guess these three guys, and this would be the perfect situation, like what we've been talking about, with Chris Paul becoming your third option and really being kind of a leader of the offense and getting those two main guys really firing on all cylinders, and his production kind of just becomes a cherry on top. We don't have to be waiting for him to show up in games 5 through 7 to really help carry the load to get over the hump in that second round series. Now all of that's on the back of Durant and Booker. So at this point, anything's on the table. You just got to get it done, especially when the guy says this is where he wants to be.